Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And I just want to take 5 seconds to address something. Okay, so look, I don't want to waste too much time. We have a lot to get into. We're going to be covering the leak from yesterday. We are very honored to have Jesse Norris from Xbox Era. The fact that he had time to be here, he's the busiest man in gaming, especially with the reviews. And again, shout out to John, Nick, and the entire team at Xbox Era. They have exploded on the scene, and their success only should let you know that if you ever want to be a content creator, look at how they did it. They did it the grassroots way. They didn't sell themselves out. And look what they are. I love it. I love it. But what I want to talk about just for 5 minutes, folks, before we get into introductions and everything, is a lot of you folks know me. I take this channel very serious. I work on the channel 7 days a week. And there is nothing more upsetting or disappointing in the community that before your show goes live, you have people questioning your integrity. And if you know me, and I think a lot of you folks really do know me because I am as transparent as glass, my integrity is at the core of what built this channel. Honor, integrity, everything that you would expect is at the center of this channel. Welcoming, inclusiveness, everyone being welcomed here with open arms, regardless of race, creed, color, sexual orientation, none of that matters. You're a gamer, you're welcome. Well, I just want to read a couple of comments to show you where I'm coming from. Of course, I'm not going to tell you who said it because I don't want you going after anybody.
It was me.
This kind gentleman says, we'll see if Boom cares about his integrity by not changing this misinformation of a title. Now, that struck a nerve with me because a lot of you know I do these shows a day in advance. And sometimes, even after you edit the show, the titles, for some reason with StreamYard, stays behind. Now, if you go to YouTube, you see that the title has been updated, and and the information regarding, we originally thought it was the FTC that made the F up. It turns out that it was Microsoft. And of course, the people from the courts uploaded what they got. So Microsoft made the boo-boo, and we're going to get into that. But it wasn't just that particular one. That was one of three that really just struck a chord with me. This one is the best. This one really is fantastic because it's all in caps. Basically, the person is yelling at me and they say, "Wrong. MS did it to themselves by mistake. False title, bruh." Right? That's what I walk into. Now there is someone in here who's relatively new, and I want to say a big thank you to her, Jenna Hayes. First of all, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being kind. She says, Mr. Boomstick, please change the topic of the video. It's not correct, and you will damage your integrity or image. So I appreciate the kindness. Now, of course, the first knucklehead, I kind of went at him, and I probably should have just ignored it. And I basically told him that if he would continue to question my integrity, it would be his last and I would ban him, which ultimately I did anyway, because it just struck such a nerve with me when it comes to the integrity thing, folks. I don't mess around. You know, I'm not making millions of dollars. This channel is grassroots built. It's just me and Mrs. Boom. That's it. And while she's working, I'm running the ship. And it really hurts. It really hurts when people say dickish things. So, I mean, like, I was talking to Jesse. I was talking to Kay about this behind the scenes. And like I said, it bothered me, and it still bothers me so much that I just wanted to take 5 minutes to address it. And I'm not going on a banning spree. This is free speech. But could we be fair? Could we honestly just be fair about the comments? And I think that's all I ask for. But enough of that. It's water under the bridge. I needed to say it. I need to get it off my chest. Let's start the show, folks. Jesse Norris, brother, it has been way too long since we've had you on the show. It's great to have you here. Brother, you have been so busy. I don't even know how you have the time to play all the games that you've been playing, but welcome to the show, man. How you feeling?
I'm tired. I'm good. It's nice to be back. It's been a while, but yeah, it's been crazy. I think from the start of August, I went from Halo book to without like just back to back. Halo book, Atlas Fallen, Armored Core 6,
Jesus.
Starfield, Lies of P. Now working on Lamplighters League, and then stop that to do Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. So yeah, it's just back to 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 back. And Assassin's Creed Mirage will be next. So yeah, there's it's been.
Now, are you the only one that actually does the reviews, Jess?
No, we've got we are all volunteer. Obviously, I'm the full timer reviews editor. But like Nick will do a couple a year, John will do a couple a year. But we also have Genghis who does a ton. He'll write them. We've got Gyotso, who does a lot of writing. And then we've got Ursel, who helps me by doing videos along with me and John. So Ursel is the main, not me review video maker. So we end up having the video stuff's the hardest because we're one of the few that really push 4K review videos.
Yeah, you guys do a great job.
You look at everyone else, they stick around 1080p, and I get it. Like you get really big and you're trying to send... I had like 450 gigs of Starfield footage for my review, but I don't have to send that to anyone. I've got it all myself, so I can just do the narration because I'll write, narrate, and do the video editing myself and everything. But even like when we're sending footage back and forth between the guys and Ursel to do it, it can be a pain in the butt when you're working with 4K. But we want to push quality, so we got our little team of volunteers because it's still just a volunteer website. But yeah. It's just a lot of work. That's it. There's no secret. It's just work a ton in our off times.
Well, dude, it's great to have you back with us. We're going to get into a couple of pretty big topics. Of course, we're going to talk about Starfield hitting 10 million players in 2 weeks. From its official release. That's a big deal. Big question for the panel. Big question for the chat. We will get to that momentarily, but we're going to open up with, of course, the leak. And, of course, what Phil Spencer had to not only address through his team at Xbox, but also his front-facing comment and explanation to us, the gamers. King Asante, what's up, brother? How you feeling?
I am doing absolutely excellent. Work has been killing me, but I've also been playing some Starfield when I can, so it's been good. Whenever I can, Starfield. It might be played even now. Who knows? We shall see. But hey, I'm not the only one. As you've already identified, Jesse's clone is probably playing a game for review right now. That man is so busy. What are you gonna do? But no, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see Jesse's here. Great member of the community. Always love that Xbox era stuff. Indeed. And of course the man Hargeet. So yes, it's gonna be a great night. A lot of stuff to talk about, more than we probably have time for.
Yeah, you know what? That's why I do 5 shows a week, because for some reason we have certainly been in a cloud of news for especially Xbox. It's just been
there's
nonstop.
Always something to talk about with Xbox.
Yeah, there really is. This year specifically has just been just bonkers. Hargeet Chani, I see you got the leaked controller behind you, kind sir.
I don't know what you're talking about.
How are you feeling, man? How's everything?
Yeah, tired as well, but yeah, I'm good. I finished up Starfield a bit ago, and
nice.
I started the other game that I thought was going to be really, really good, Baldur's Gate 3, and I found I hated it. So that was.
If you're not into that combat, like I think that's one of the main things it's this incredible tool set. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons game come to life. But the one thing I found that was off-putting for me is that the combat is run by a GM that just hates you and loves kicking you when you're down. It's not like empowering like a good D&D session can actually be.
Basically how I felt. I'm like, I just don't care anymore. I played it for 12 hours, but that combat, like that loop just did not work for me at all.
Because everything else around it is 10 out of 10
3?
Top tier.
What was that?
Baldur's Gate 3 you're talking about?
Yeah. And to be honest, I didn't like the story either. I thought the story was very cliche and standard fare.
It picks up and changes, but it does take a little while.
Because I was still in Act 1, and I got to the point where I was like, I don't even care if these people die. I have no interest at all in this game. It was so bad. I just couldn't. I couldn't believe it was that like off-putting for when it was like mid-9s. I'm like, what the heck? But
it's one of those things where like
it is what it is.
I run into it a lot of times. Like I loved Liza P. I gave it a really good score, but I didn't vibe with Armored Core 6, and people just couldn't accept it. I'm like, I'm not saying it's bad and you're not going to like it. It's just people don't vibe
just
with
depending
everything.
on the person, right? For me, that game was like, okay, I'm good. I'm shocked that there aren't more people that gave it that kind of a review, right? You would expect a spectrum of people, especially if the combat just doesn't work for everybody. And in that one, it just doesn't work for me.
There's a way I can go if you want, and that's when. So most reviews you get about a week. Sometimes you get 2 or more. It's really nice, but on average you get about a week. But with Baldur's Gate, everyone had about 3 days. That's the same thing that happened with Redfall. So you can look at Redfall as the negative version and Baldur's Gate as the positive version. So if you get a review in and you can't finish it in time, the very early ones, kind of like me with Hi-Fi Rush when I got that out within 15 hours of launch, it sets a tone.
Yeah.
Well, it was so good I didn't want to stop playing, and then it was like 3 a.m. and like I can make a video in an hour, or 1 a.m. I said that, and then 4 hours later I finished at 5 a.m. It's pretty much the early tone that gets set, and it's weird because Redfall actually started like mid 70s, but then the bigger sites started hitting it, and then everything that had been review in progress 6 became final score 3 or 4, and with Baldur's Gate. It's just like, this is awesome. It's a really well done game if you're into it. And I feel like that hype gets ridden and it just, the tone is set.
The honest thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And being an outlier sucks. Like just even me being, I wasn't an outlier on Redfall. There were way more people above me. Like I wasn't an outlier on anything. The biggest outlier I was Scorn. I gave it a 4, and that's like a 65 or a 70 on Metacritic, and people got very mad at me. I'm a Game Pass hater because I didn't enjoy Scorn. It just, people attack you non-stop.
I tried that game and I found it boring.
It was terrible. Well, I was just, it was terrible. I tried to like it and I just didn't.
That's what I felt with Baldur's Gate. I'm like, this has got to be a good game. It's got to be me, right? And I'm like,
the only description you can give to Scorn, and thank you guys for bringing up Scorn because this gives me the opportunity to say it one more time. It's very moist.
Oh wow!
Moving on.
And boring as shit. But, it just comes down to people don't like. People say they don't want a hive mind, but then they really don't like it if you don't agree with them. So it's just There's a Donkey video. His latest one is literally how he just goes into review comments. If you're positive about a game, you get a ton of people saying thank you for this honest opinion, and if you're negative about a game, you get those same people saying why are you such a phony lying piece of shit? And like it's
So I started up Sea of Stars after that, and so far I'm liking that one. That one doesn't seem as bad. So like I'm very early on in that game, so I'm hoping I will like that one. But yeah, that's kind of been my my gaming for the last week or so. So.
I mean, listen, I'm still head deep. You know, I guess I don't even know what to say about it. I can't stop playing Starfield. It is literally
have you finished the main game and gone to New Game Plus, or are you just still on the
no,
main run?
Dude, I am closing it on 5 days, and there is still so much of the story.
There's plenty to do.
Because my problem is I'll go to a planet where I know there's an artifact, right, and I'll get it. And I'll start scanning a few things, and I'm like, I'm at 60%. Do I want to leave the planet without scanning the rest of the stuff? So I start looking for the things. And then in the midst of looking for the plants and the animals and the creatures, I see a base, and it's filled with pirates. And I love killing pirates. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to get a nice weapon. Maybe I'm going to get a gold drop. And it's a spiral that seems to be out of control. I can't stop playing.
But that's good, right? That's kind of like you want that short game loop to just kind of keep pulling you in, and it is a really good game.
You see, this,
for those who like it.
Yeah, see, my plan very simply is this: there's too much to get to. I'm really enjoying the new crew game. It's very it's not as good. It's not as good as Forza Horizon, but it's very good. So I'm enjoying that. the next three big games for me: Spider-Man, tip of the spear. I don't care day and night cycle. I don't care about weather. I don't care about buildings. I cannot freaking wait to play Spider-Man 2, Venom, and Kraven the Hunter, and I'm very excited. But the two outliers are the new Sonic and new Mario game. Wow, cannot wait to get into those. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue to just take in Starfield. No rush to beat it. I have until the middle of October for the obviously Motorsport is there also, so I'm going to play that. But yeah, it's folks. I'm here to tell you, 2023. I think it's going to be the year that beats 2007.
We're not that many.
We still have Avatar game, right?
Alan Wake 2. If you want me to go through the list of everything I'm chasing review codes on, to even just think about covering it.
You know what? Right, before we get into the what's the list, bro? What does it look like?
All right, so I've been maintaining. So even I've got 2 articles that I've kept up on the website that I've been trying to keep up to date. One is everything on Game Pass, and the other thing is everything just in general on Xbox. If you just look at Game Pass and what's coming from now until the end of the year, that's got a date. You've got so there's Payday 3 is just about to hit. Party Animals just about to hit. Cocoon, John will have a review.
Yeah.
Gotham Knights is on October 3rd out of nowhere, which I really enjoyed. I was one of the few. I was an outlier on that one.
Oh no, I loved Gotham Knights.
I really liked that game. Yep.
Yeah.
That was another one. That one had people had their minds made up before it ever released. Lamplighters League, which I'm reviewing now. Warhammer 40k Darktide on those are on the 3rd. October 4th, Warhammer 40k Darktide finally on Xbox. Then Forza Motorsport on October 10th. City Skylines October 24th. Jusant October 31st, which I played the demo of and is great. Headbangers Rhythm Royale October 31st. Thirsty Suitors November 2nd. Football Manager 2024 November 6th. Dungeons 4 November 9th. Persona 5 Tactica November 17th. SteamWorld Build December 1st. That's all the things we have dates for just on Game Pass right now.
Wow.
I don't know how to keep up with it.
Wow.
It's so silly.
Well, look, folks, there's a plethora of games, but we're gonna get into these topics. And let's open up with what happened yesterday. Yesterday was I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to 16 DMs, and I'm like, oh shit. Did someone hack my account? Did I do something wrong that people boom, I can't believe you did that? Or something.
How did you ban that guy?
Yeah, you just never know. But it turns out that obviously we have now learned of older plans that have been changed, and we're going to get into how we know they've been changed in a second. Of all what Xbox has planned until 2030, it's probably the biggest leak in gaming history. In the same year that they're closing the biggest acquisition in gaming history. I mean, what a double-edged sword or a pair of bookends, however you want to say it. But so I pulled a story, and I used The Verge because I really do like The Verge. I do like Tom Warren. This one,
I got a funny story about Tom Warren. He was waking up to everyone going crazy on because we have an Xbox Era Discord that he's in. And he's like, where is this? How do you find it? And I had to show him how you could go into the Adobe file with Adobe Reader and see all the attachments. And then he was up for 24 hours straight going through it all.
Yeah, Tom has been putting in the work. I do like Tom Warren a lot. This article that I pulled, it was written not only by Tom Warren, but Jay Peters as well. And the image was put together by Laura Normand of The Verge. Of course, we like to give credit where credit is due. So obviously, we were all waiting to see Microsoft's response. Was this going to come from Satya Nadella, or was this going to come from Phil Spencer? And as expected, in fact, it did come the way of Phil Spencer, head of Microsoft Gaming. So I want to just take 5 seconds, folks, and I want to read what Phil Spencer actually said. Now, he wrote, this is an email that he wrote to the Xbox team. And please just give me a second because it's a bit long. It's not too long, but I want to read it verbatim. And
a leaked memo about a leak.
A leaked memo about a leak. Yeah, but The Verge obviously acquired it, so we do trust them. He says, team, Today, several documents submitted in the court proceedings related to our proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard were unintentionally disclosed. I know this is disappointing, even if many of the documents were well over a year old and our plans have changed. I also know that we all take the confidentiality of our plans and our partners' information very seriously. This leak obviously is not us living up to that expectation. We will learn from what happened and be better going forward. We all put incredible amounts of passion and energy into our work, and this is never how we want that hard work to be shared with the community. That said, there is so much more to be excited about, and when we're ready, we'll share the real plans with our players. In closing, I appreciate all of the work that you pour into Team Xbox to surprise and delight our players. In the days and weeks ahead, let's stay focused on what we can control, continuing the amazing success of Starfield, the upcoming launch of the incredible and accessible Forza Motorsport, and continuing to build games, services, and devices that millions of players can enjoy. Phil. So before we get into what he said on Twitter, I kind of want to get everyone's take on this. Jesse, I'll start first with you. Now, this is Phil pouring himself into this email. It is a unbelievable mistake. Kay and I couldn't believe that this actually happened, but it did. Now, granted, there are a lot of things on this that are not happening, and we'll break down what Phil's had to say further into that. But let's get your take on this, man.
It was a beautifully written PR piece that he knew was going to leak.
Yeah. Of course
it's always funny. Yeah, he knows. It's just pretty much who knows who it was or what it was. Was it we uploaded these things to this? It was supposed to be not the public one. It was made public by mistake, or did we upload to the public one by mistake and not strip out these attachments? Because if you look at the PDF in a web browser as it normally opens up, you can't see the attachments. You have to download it and then look at it specifically by the bookmarks, and then you can see them. So it's an easy mistake to miss if you just don't do your due diligence and realize that this 5 pages of text is 183 megabytes. So there's probably a hell of a lot more to it. In the end, it's a simple human error, but it happened in the worst way imaginable. And even though these companies have so much money and they have all this stuff, if it's some clerk at a law office they were using, like, somebody can just make a mistake. So in the end, it's just kind of you throw up your hands, you apologize to anyone whose information got out there. On the whole, I don't think, while it might be embarrassing and annoying and it forces you to go back and really make sure it doesn't happen again, there's nothing bad in all of it in the end. Even the Nintendo thing people tried to make a big deal out of was much more Phil just saying politely to a couple of executives, yeah, it would be incredible if we could own them. They're amazing. But we never will. So let's focus on Bethesda. We're probably going to get them.
Right. But I mean, they have the money if they wanted Nintendo.
Nintendo's they're both hardware. So at that point, it's horizontal, not vertical.
It would be horizontal. It wouldn't happen anyway. It wouldn't
and vertical
anyway.
Has been impossible for them. So, man.
No, but I mean, listen, if you remember, we had learned during that documentary, Xbox On, where they actually were going to go into Nintendo and try to buy them. This is during the OG Xbox days, and they got laughed out of the freaking room. Like, they laughed at them. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are these knuckleheads coming? They want to buy us. We're Nintendo. No one buys us. You know what I'm saying? Kay Asante, let's get your take on the front facing the front facing message on Twitter. We're gonna get to. Kind of want to get your hot take on and Jesse said it. Phil knows this is going to get out to the public. He knows that someone's going to read it on the air. Of course, he probably could have guessed it would have been me because I do like to read these things. I like to have the documentation in front of me. What does it mean ultimately?
Not much.
Yeah.
As Jesse said, it's a very well written, very well understood that this would leak kind of document, right? That they put out there, and He said it in his written word to the folks, and you'll talk, like you said, we'll talk about the his other responses. What it ultimately means, no one can tell. Like, you know, we everyone is quick to jump around and say, hey, this thing is a plan that's no longer there. Sure, many of them have been outdated, and they're old, right? And obviously, COVID was a huge factor in the equation. But don't get me wrong, man. Some of the stuff I see in these pages are definitely coming true. Like, even if the timelines are off, a lot of these things are coming true. Now,
well, I mean, the games that leaked, like for instance,
the games are the games.
You know,
I'm talking the hardware. I'm talking about their plan. I'm literally, as we speak, I have a 16-page 21-page PDF.
21 pages, yeah. So I have
that's a who's who. You know, it's a who's who of goodies that just makes me go, ooh, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? So, as the timeline is probably very, you know, they're handhelds and things in there that's just like, oh boy, you know what I'm saying? So timelines be damned, but make no mistake, this is how they're thinking, right? We don't know how this will materialize ultimately, right? And as Jesse said, he's trying to say there's nothing to see here. Let's move along, right?
Oh, I'm not moving anywhere. I'm still looking.
But no, I think if this had happened, if all of these things had happened exactly as this thing had depicted, that would have been awesome. The fact that they're even thinking at this level should give Xbox fans a lot of joy and hope, right? Because they're shooting for the moon with this stuff, man. They're talking about buying Nintendo. Like, get out of here, you know? Maybe I was about to say, maybe they'll introduce something. Here's a discrete GPU, Nintendo. No, I'm just being ridiculous because, you know, they've been advocates for too long. Anyway,
no, it's fine. We're here to have fun, right? We're here to laugh. We're here to have fun.
My first take is I think it's really, really interesting. I just keep going over and over in my head. How does this hurt them? Like, we weren't sure initially how it happened, or, you know, how does it hurt them? Except maybe, you know, I was thinking about it. Maybe, you know, knowing the detailed specs of the next gen quote unquote hardware and the mid gen refresh, and the fact that they and by the way, he's not here, so I will take our victory lap for him, which is we called it, the hybrid console confirmed, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
We called it.
Yes.
We called it before anybody. People thought it was crazy. What did he say? Y'all thought I was wrong, but I was right all along. #Unborn Saga. Anyway, we called it. So all that stuff is super exciting. You know, all the details there, super, super exciting. Now, people want to make it about Phil lied or Phil's doing this and all that.
I'm tired of that.
I don't know if you want to talk about some of these details, but some of the stuff in here is super exciting to me, man. Like, I am not one that buys specialty consoles or whatever, but you tell me, you give me a console that has Bluetooth in it, and I am buying it because I have hundreds of controllers in here that all look like Xbox controllers, but don't work on Xbox because they only support Bluetooth. You know, some of those small things that they're adding into the next quote unquote next gen refresh of it, people are downplaying it, but it's really cool. So I think all really of it is awesome. Yeah.
It's funny because when we were talking, literally, folks, Kay Sante, Everborn, and I, we talk every morning. We talk every day. We're like real brothers. And when he was saying that, I'm like, oh, I know where he's going. You're gonna buy that Sega console. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not Everborn Saga. I'm like, okay, so where are you going with it? And that's what he was saying. He was thinking about the internal stuff that they're putting into this, proposed. Yeah, putting into the next Xbox. He's down for from a tech spot. I'm a Sega nerd. That Ubiquity controller, that Sybil controller, that is, I saw that and my eyebrow raised there as well, because that's the final piece in eating Google Stadia whole. Like, they ate every single promise. Oh, you could just hit a button and you could play your game. Yeah,
I'm curious about that one though, because that one was funded, but it was not fully funded, so we don't know what features made the cut.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Good point.
Yes.
Good point, Jesse.
And I think that's the main thing that Phil's mostly annoyed about is that now expectations will be set. That's the only
Will be set.
that's the real crappy part for them is they don't get to start the messaging. The messaging is now started.
It's
And so
already
unless
started
they
for
match
them.
it,
Yeah.
people are gonna think that they cut things down or get rid of them. It's like, well, no, that was never happening. Like
Now, Jesse, does this ruin some of the relationships they have with their partners, you think? I mean, my brain goes to, does Nintendo go, nah, homie, we ain't working with you no more. We see what you're trying to do. Big man switch. We don't want to play in your waters anymore.
no,
We don't
I
like
think
you.
they know.
I
They
think
know
that would have been a conversation that Phil has already been having with them. I don't.
Yeah.
they
long time.
all
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They talk
So it's
all
more-
the time.
Yeah, it's the embarrassment about it getting out there,
Yeah.
but they've also all
Leaking.
had that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have it, so they know. It's more. I think it's more a sympathy thing than anything at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. No, that
Understood.
I agree. Hargeet, let's get your take on it, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back around, and I want to get you everyone's singular, and I want the chat involved in this too because we have almost 600 people here. What was your highlight of the leak? Because for me, it was exciting. I'm going to tell you what mine was, and I think what it does is it should calm a lot of people's concerns about, about what the future holds, specifically for Xbox. I can't talk about anyone else, but Hargeet, what are your thoughts on Phil's, message to Team Xbox?
Yeah, like Jesse was saying, this is a very well crafted damage control. That's what it is. It is what it is, right? And it totally was expected to get leaked, right? So whatever. What do you really get from something like this? It's really just it's out there. It sucks. I don't know how you say, oh, we'll do better. How the hell does a lawyer put up the wrong thing in the wrong place? Somebody's
Fired
like,
lawyer. I could tell you.
I mean.
Fired lawyer.
I mean, I guess it's not a lawyer, it's probably like a paralegal or something. But either way, you just got to say, look,
it's bad.
it's your job to make sure you get the right data into the right bucket. And what did you do? You freaking this is a disaster for somebody who's the legal team. Like, I don't know how that happens, but okay, you'll fix it. I don't even know if it's Microsoft. It's probably like some hired legal team, right? But that's just pretty crazy that they messed it up. You can see the FTC messing it up. You can see the lawyer, like the judge messing it. No, Microsoft themselves messing it up is just that's a crazy thing to happen. But anyway,
Hargeet, don't you think it's coining of that term? It's defeat from the jaws of victory as usual for them. Like, just amazing,
isn't it though? Like we were waiting. We're waiting for that shooter. Oh, Starfield, people are playing it. It's good. And here comes the shoot.
Well, it's the way the court case is. Having to submit 1 million documents, it's more surprising it hasn't happened more when you look at the numbers.
I suppose, but I mean, you pay these people. Do you know how much these legal teams cost? Like,
now, I'm really curious how it happened. Was it that they just didn't strip it? Did they put it in the wrong bucket? Was it put in the right bucket, but that was the one that was made public by mistake?
That's what we're hearing is they put it in the wrong bucket.
Yeah,
So
but we don't it was literally it went into this. This was up. So the FTC said we had nothing to do with it because they didn't. It was a thing uploaded by Microsoft side to a specific area that was then made public, and that's about all we'll ever probably know.
But yeah, I mean, as far as that email, that's that all that is, right? And it does showcase a whole bunch of old information, some newer information, right? And I think the point of now there's expectations. That is kind of annoying, right? That these were probably things that they were thinking are long-term roadmaps that may have changed quite a bit. Keystone, should they make that hybrid box? Should they whatever? All that might have gone out the window based on where they are with cloud, right? They might say yes, it's working, maybe not working. It's costing us money. It's not generating revenue. We don't even know, right? Because we also heard from the court stuff that. Yeah, that cloud is costing us more than we make. And they might say, well, okay, maybe we change the whole model a bit and say, like the thing they're looking at in 2028, we're going to leverage cloud, but the game is still running here. And your console will do everything it needs to, but the cloud will be leveraged to enhance the game. That's a much better option, right? That way you're not locked into your gameplay being out streamed to you.
And that cloud, it doesn't have to be the server blades that are taking Series X consoles.
Exactly.
Instead,
it can be anything you want.
Their Azure. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So you also saw some things about PC cloud, right? Having a Windows-based cloud access. which from what I gather from all the court stuff, I think that would be very dangerous for them to do. So I assume that's been scrapped because if they brought that in, now all that stuff that was being brought against them from the FTC, the CMA, hey, if Windows is what you're using,
it'd be a problem.
that you have an advantage.
Yes.
And if it's cloud servers, you have an advantage. There's just no denying it, right? You have Azure.
Well, it depends. If it's the Windows version of stuff, then it just can be licensed to everyone else even more easily than the current cloud console versions. Yeah.
Right? The console took that whole headache away and said, no, it's a special hardware. We're taking it away from putting it in living rooms and we're putting it here in the cloud. This is not taking advantage of Azure in any way and not taking advantage of Windows in any way.
Right.
If you do that, you're bringing in Windows. You're bringing in
the minute you make it a standard. The minute you make it a standard enterprise offering, that's ideal with all the enterprise cloud.
Then no way around it.
Are valid.
Well, that should be covered in the EU by everyone just gets a free license. Because if it's the same game, you're getting the Windows version, everyone gets a free license.
They would have to mitigate all those things, right? But
because it's supposed to be that for everything.
Right. Whoa, is that going to be dangerous for them? So
but you know, Hargeet, they're not going away from cloud, and you know darn well as I do, if they're going to succeed in cloud, they're going to have to break that model of only putting consoles in it. You're going to have to put actual hardware in there to push it further to get 4K. You just can't make it. You can't make it the SoC for Series X's forever, right? So even in the documents, it showed that they are going in that direction. It's going to happen eventually. It's just, when are they going to pull that trigger? Because the minute they do, like you said, they can't be going in front of any regulatory bodies anytime soon.
It's going to be.
I honestly don't think it changes anything, because right now they already make Windows versions of everything, and that's what everyone else already gets. So if their only thing is a Windows version, it doesn't actually change it from the licensing standpoint.
It's just the economy of scale for them to do it versus somebody else. So
NVIDIA
can do what they want.
Yeah.
But if you look at Microsoft, just the fact that they have data centers, I think they have more data centers than Amazon. They just don't have as much revenue as Amazon, but they have data centers everywhere on the planet. And that gives them a huge advantage when you're saying, I'm going to use my Azure data centers at my cost instead of the commercial cost.
Well, Xbox needs to be the way they normally mitigate it, because they're separate divisions. Xbox has to take out the fact that they get to use them for free. They're paying in the end, as long as they're giving the licenses for free, that was the main thing. And what they'd go after more is the thing that's already a thing, which is the fact that they don't have to license Windows. So that's what NVIDIA got a way better deal on, but only in the EU now.
This would bring that in, right? Now you're saying I'm taking the Windows version of it and I'm putting it in cloud. So now it is a Windows license. Because if you want to compete with that, if Amazon wants to compete with, which they're doing,
they would. I think by default they would just take out of their operating budget the cost of those licenses. Is how they normally mitigate that.
It wouldn't matter from a regulator's perspective. They're saying you own this, right? You can now control that input. And say, on Amazon, you have to pay 50% more. On Microsoft, I can pay 25% less, right? Because it's an internal cost, right? They can choose to pay full price. They can choose to pay nothing because it's an internal cost. Right. And that's what a regulator is going to see. They're going to say, I don't care. You don't have to pay this. It's funny money.
It's still a superfluous argument, because at the end of the day, it's a market that's not really that big. But their argument would hold more weight, because then there would be actual substance to it.
Yeah.
And maybe they saw those and they're like, you're going to go here. It's about Windows. Like, okay, so you kind of see where they were coming from, right?
Yeah.
Right? There actually was some substantial
everything we can see now compared to where they had been a couple of years ago when they're planning and they're building up and we're going to hit 3 billion devices, and then going, oh shit, no, actually for mobile, we need to buy someone who's already big in mobile, because mobile is pretty saturated. So, and our growth is PC. So getting PC publishers and content for PC is now their main thing. And I don't think they're really that interested in cloud gaming, more cloud computing to help in gaming for the hybrid stuff.
Yeah, which I think is general, right? Because everybody's giving
that's
you that
the Kojima
option,
thing,
right? So and I like that plan, right? Because like expanding the capability within the game with the cloud is a good idea, right? Whereas running the actual game in the cloud it's okay, but
it's a nice bonus.
At this point, now that we know, like I was saying, like there's the new iPhones are literally going to have your AAA games running natively on the phone.
Yeah, I'm real curious to see what does that actually look like, and what
exactly.
Never trust an Apple showcase. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
We'll see the proof when it actually comes out.
That's a whole different podcast, sir. I have a lot of rebuttals to that one. I'm sorry, sir.
Oh my god. All right. Well, listen.
You can rebuttal it all you want. Reality is it's happening. Right?
Yeah. I mean, listen.
PS4 next week.
They're a player. They're a player. I mean, me personally,
Apple's never going to be a games player.
I don't play on my phone like that. Like Marvel Snap is probably the densest I'm going to get into it, but I wouldn't play Assassin's Creed whatever on my phone. I wouldn't do that. And I have a pretty nice.
All I'll say is notice how they give you Assassin's Creed Mirage, the one that's supposed to be the recreation of Assassin's Creed 1, not Assassin's Creed like Origins or Odyssey, the big bloated AAA monster title we've come to know from Assassin's Creed.
They're all bigger games that are available on the last gen. If I can see a series or PS5 only,
dude, it's gonna happen. All of it's coming. You can keep saying
not until we improve battery tech. Until batteries are good enough.
Has less
exactly,
power
Jesse,
and is going to run those games. It's just a reality. Just deal with it. It is what it is.
No. Listen,
they're gonna look like Mortal Kombat 1 on the Switch.
Listen, only time is gonna tell. Yes.
You want to know the thing that was most interesting?
All right, so let's start with you. What was the most interesting of this for you, Harvey?
For all of you who keep saying that you need the freaking Pro Edition and all, the majority console for Xbox is not the Series X.
That's correct.
The Series X.
75%.
It is the lower tier. So I'm done talking about this
It's been
bullshit.
clarified. It's about 51% now.
Power bullshit. It is absolute crap. Nobody cares. The only people who care are the handful of people who care about power. If you care about power, go get a PC. It's just not the thing. Console players do not care. The top selling console is a Switch, has no freaking power. It doesn't matter. People do not care about power. They care about playing the games. That's what matters. It's the games.
It's a very. I would agree with you.
It's done. It's done. 75%.
IGN updated their article. It's about 51 now. It had been then when the availability of Series X was really bad, but Matt Piscatella and Chris String came out and they're like, they're about even now after the Series X finally got more stock.
Isn't it like 1,000% stock increase or something recently on Amazon or whatever?
It went bonkers.
But we realized why. They didn't have that much stock because they were losing so much money on every console. They were losing like $250 on every one.
They lose more on the X or the S. They probably lose more on the X, I think.
They probably lose more on the S, believe it or not, than the X. Like we said this way back in the day. Like right now, even to this very day, there is an AMD variant of a CPU that you can find in the Series S. Right?
Yep.
It's very close. It's not the exact one, but it's super close. It costs $230. Just the chip.
Jeez.
Compared to the whole thing with the box and
those are the bad ones. Those are the ones where they turn off the graphics part. It's just the CPU
and just make the AP
because it wasn't a good one.
Right.
And
that's right. So we've known
more
this.
power than a Series S, probably double the power of a Series S.
Go figure.
No, it's similar. It's just it always comes down to the TDP. The reason you can't have a handheld. If they they're going to 6 nanometer, they could probably get a Series S handheld in a 6 nanometer. But then it comes down to heat dissipation, which is bad in handhelds, and battery life, which is always bad.
It's always bad in handhelds. No matter what.
Now let me plug my old thing. If you guys remember the Fox, the guy that does a bunch of handhelds, he said exactly this, right? He said like this was way before any of this stuff happened. He said, "Hey, how they're artificially limiting the Series S is telling him that the next thing they're working on is a hybrid console." Because how come you have a Series S that's capable of putting out the wattage it is capable of, and you guys are artificially limiting it? Which tells him that the minute that you go to a new nanometer process, you got hybrid console, right? He said this on our show like months ago, and here you go.
We've been banging the drum for the hybrid for how long? Quite some time. We
got some digital receipts for this. So here you go. This is us doing the little victory lap. Hopefully it still comes.
I will take my victory lap because, like I said, for me personally, I don't care if Microsoft copies them. I think for clear transparency, I had a Steam Deck. I enjoyed it for what it was. I sold it privately because it's too PC for me. And of course, I went out and got a ROG Ally. ROG Ally is great, but it's also very PC.
It's a lot more PC.
It's the negative.
It's more PC than the Steam Deck, sir.
I know, a lot more. The Steam Deck's a console. In comparison to the Ally, the Steam Deck is a console experience.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Kayasante said. But see, for me, what I'm looking for is simplicity. You want
an Xbox in your hand.
I want an Xbox in my hand, pretty much. Yeah, that's the caveman that I am. That's what I really want. But
that's their upcoming Light OS they're talking about.
Yeah,
same everywhere.
Xboxify the Windows interface. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, we okay. Before we get to yours, I want to kind of throw this out there for mine. One of the things almost immediately, like literally in the first slide, that a lot of people are concerned about for the future is, are we going to still have a box underneath the TV? Can I go to the store, buy this new box, whatever it is, plug it in, and play my games? The answer is, well, Microsoft is going to be having a box underneath your TV or on the side of your TV or whatever until 2030. They literally said in the opening slide that the console is at the core of what they're going to be doing. I think that is great. Now, is that going to be digital only? I personally don't think so. I know there's going to be a choice that if you want a digital console, you can buy one of them. But I still think this is going to have. I think that the physical disc is still going to be around. I don't think it's going away. And
I hope you're right.
Soon. I hope I'm right. Because I'm a digital guy. I only have some things in box. Like I buy all my Switch games. For some reason, I just don't like them because Nintendo's kind of crummy. So I don't trust them. So I buy the cartridges. I buy the physical media. Only a few things do I have on digital. Again, the other thing that jumps off the page, because I'm a Bethesda fan. Like I'm a Bethesda fan through and through. One of my most favorite games, and obviously Starfield is at the tip of the spear for me. But who's not an Oblivion fan? Like, I'm not gonna lie, folks. You can blame me for being one of the proponents of the first people that saw that horse armor for $5 and went and bought it because I was like, yeah, I want that. And that's why I might have ruined everyone. I don't know, but I bought the horse armor. Oblivion is just one of my favorite of the entire series. Oblivion was so good, and the fact that whether it's a remake or a remaster, I don't care. We're gonna get an updated version with all of the DLC for Oblivion, and you know what's even crazier? It's gonna be in Game Pass. What? So yes, those are the two things for me that really just got me excited. One, I kind of happy that it's out there, so the people that are concerned about a box underneath their TV, it's going to be there. And of course, personally, Oblivion. What about you, Kay? What jumped off the page?
So, okay. One that raised my eyebrow, and it's very weird, raised my eyebrow. One-handed controller? I'm like, huh? Okay. This is not a sustainability thing, accessibility thing. If you look at the picture, it's literally like a remote control, but with a dual D-pad on it and some buttons. So it's kind of like you don't need the thumbsticks. You're just like playing casual games. They think you're gonna be playing Candy Crush on your TV with something like this, right?
Who the heck knows?
I love the covering of the spread. I love it. It's so interesting to peek behind the curtain.
Very vast.
And see the covering of the spread. You have one hand, we have a controller for you. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're doing here. I love the fact that they're also accounting for mobile controllers. You want to be one of those weirdos that plugs your thing into a controller? That's the main reason why I still think like Assassin's Creed Mirage is still like, come on. Like no real self-respecting gamer will want to play that thing without a controller. And not that many people love that stuff. I have my my backbone right there. I dig it. I take
I
it
mean,
out from
I'm
time
with
to
you
time,
on that, but
you
I
know?
wonder if the next generation of people, kids, right, that they're
Yeah.
okay with it. Because
They probably
they
are,
seem to be
honestly.
okay with
Sure.
mobile gaming.
You know
But
what?
I'm with you. I
One thing
want it
I
on my
will give you,
77-inch TV.
that's the thing. One thing I will give you, Hargeet, is they're not threading the needle. They keep offering boomer games with new school usability,
Yeah.
and the new school kids who will
That's
touch the
great.
games have no wanting for Assassin's Creed Mirage. They don't care about that, right? You give them you give them the Roblox on that, and I'm doing that because my children are literally doing that right now. You know, so that's why I think it still won't connect.
That, right? And
But the fact that they're at least
thing, right? We'll see.
the fact that they're spending some R&D thoughts and
Yeah.
maybe dollars even covering that
All over
spread,
the place.
right?
Good.
It's just pretty awesome. I don't know. I think it's
I like
so cool. Now, my question is, when they say gaming keyboard mouse, does that mean they're finally going to take their gaming keyboard mouse situation seriously on the Xbox? Because it's been kind of a joke forever. You know, that's one of those things. I see little hints of things on here where they go their next gen console mid gen goals to enable creators. Does that mean you're gonna fix your your DVR finally? We don't know about that. I'm sorry, small ding. Forgive me. One thing that does super excite me. I have been waiting for it. I have been calling for it. Finally, someone has gotten all my letters. They've been watching Prime Time. They heard me. We're getting Xbox freaking design labs for consoles.
No,
Jesus
that
Christ.
wasn't
because that's old.
That
No?
wasn't funded. It was
wasn't
not funded.
Well, it's the fact that it was thought of.
They
It's
thought
on
about
the
it.
list.
Yeah.
But they gave us the jacket.
It's on the list.
I think that's going to be the replacement for that, right? The wrap around
The sleeve. Yeah, absolutely.
You know about the sleeve. See, you guys just keep it giving me a fuel for some slander here. It's great that you give me a nice square sleeve, and then as soon as you do, you give me a spherical mid-gen refresh system.
They'll have spherical sleeves for you too.
That's so weird. They're coming the X's and O's. I get it.
I also think it's a lot of concept art, like the
yeah,
controller and all that
of
stuff.
course.
We never know
Yeah.
exactly what it's going to end up looking like.
Yeah, I don't think that two-tone black and white is exactly how it'll translate when it's done. It was probably just their initial idea. You know, the grip is the black and the white is.
It was selling
the
the future. It wasn't.
Yeah.
This is what we have. It was. This is what we're thinking about.
Yep.
And then
No,
the
I
potential
completely
elite
agree with you.
version of it too, right? So we'll have to see if
Yeah.
that ends up happening.
See, and that's also an interesting part where they've actually even broadened it out even further in that regard, where they have a core, which we know of now, right? We have the premium, which we don't know of because they've never had a premium.
I think that's the new one. I think the premium. I took the premium as the new one with all the extra stuff in it.
Okay.
That was just me.
So they have the core, which is basic, the premium, which is the core with the stuff in it, and then the elite, which is that big dog, which is this guy right here, which I have right here. So they're just filling in all of the potential gaps. Okay, that's interesting. That's cool. Yeah,
You'd imagine
honestly
like every controller
Mhm.
coming forward would probably be the premium one, but they still have to account for having 30 million of the core ones that have been made in the past.
No, you're definitely right about that. You're definitely right about that. No, I understand. No, honestly, I just think this whole thing, like, while I think it's kind of sad and a little embarrassing for them, unforced errors as usual. I think the
Stepping on the
side
rake,
effect
if
of
you
this,
will.
yeah,
as usual,
defeat from the jaws of victory. Still though, the side effect of this is this will make all of their fans. This will let them walk with their chests out because they know that whether these things happen or they don't happen, these were at some point in time on the docket. So if they've been replaced, with something else that is just as cool, maybe just something else. So that's at least something.
Point. Now Phil will be called a liar every time one of these things doesn't happen exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say this, but he's that everyone always accuses him of lying anyway. So I don't think one more thing is gonna.
You see this line here?
It's not gonna bother him.
Well, he's been called both a liar, and I was in like another chat for a bigger like media site, and everyone's like, "Wow, he's just a effing moron thinking he can buy Nintendo." I'm like, "No, read the email. He's telling them they can't. That it would be incredible. It would be awesome. Yes, really good idea. I'm going to very positively tell you how this has no chance of ever happening."
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
people just
fine.
are mad.
People, like I said, people want to run narratives. It's fine. But look, we're at the hour mark. We got to talk about Starfield. We got to talk about what 10 million players actually means. But before we get there, I do want to get to Jesse real quick. And what are the 2 highlights for you of the leaks?
Dishonored 3 and Doom Year Zero.
There you go. Great picks. Yep.
Thank
Great
you.
picks. And Doom, obviously, first of all, we didn't know what the name was. It's obviously going to be the third in the series, and it's
I'm curious.
Sporting ID Tech 8.
So, I'm curious if it doesn't like a non-new number, new year.
Could it be
doesn't
a remake
have
of
to be.
one?
It doesn't have to be id making it. It could be a Rage situation where it is another studio. We don't know because the rumor about id had been Quake. So I'm not
really
sure.
I hope they don't make another Doom. They need to spread their wings. They are now under Microsoft. Do something odd.
Yeah. I honestly think
a Quake reboot in a way of what they did with Wolfenstein, which of course is Machine, but ID Tech, the way that they rebooted Doom.
Quake could be more focused on vehicles and other stuff, and not just that first-person puzzle combat.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 really good picks. Now, folks, real quick, I just wanted, because I know I made mention of it, and I don't want to not deliver. This was the Phil Spencer tweet that he put out there, obviously after the leak. He says this, folks. We've seen the conversation around old emails and documents. It's hard to see our team's work shared in this way because so much has changed, and there's so much to be excited about right now. And in the future, we will share the real plans when we are ready. So basically, it's him saying that, don't believe everything that's here. We have a bunch of new plans. And whether or not you believe it or not, like you said, the genie's out of the bottle, the cat's out of the bag, the dog's out of the kennel, whatever you want to say. It's just again, personally, I don't think it hurt them. I think that as an Xbox fan, you look at this and you see that they are all in. One of the weirder things that I thought was very odd about what didn't leak was anything that was coming from Xbox Game Studios or Xbox Games Publishing. Nothing was on there. Apparently, it was a kind of random hodgepodge of documents of what we got. There wasn't really a ton of rhyme or reason to it. Yeah, listen, it is what it is. But look, guys, we got to talk about Starfield, and why not? It's
never heard of it.
Yeah, me either. I haven't put only 5 days into this game. What do I know?
Isn't it? It's not Starfield. It's S7 Field. The T. You replace the T with the 7.
Yes,
I love it. This is great. Listen, before we get to that, guys, I do got to catch up with super chats. We have a ton of them. I want to thank everybody for the generosity, but we do have a member chat from our very good friend Bunty. He says Starfield is my game of the gen, and we still got 5 years left. Look forward to listening at work. So entertain me for 2 hours. Have a great show. And I hope that, sir, we are entertaining you indeed. And thank you for the support as always. Andrew Norris. Is he related to you, Mr. Jesse? He says this. He actually didn't say anything. He drops a very generous $7 super chat. Andrew, thank you for the generosity. And thank you. For
he was given his score for Starfield.
7. Okay, maybe. Wow. I don't think so. Hopefully not.
Nice.
That's not Dan from IGN. Damn it.
Well done, sir. Well done. All right.
Thank you.
Dean Rivera, generous friend of the program, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Did you see the document on Twitter right now showing that PlayStation is coming in third in terms of revenue from 2022 to 2023?"
It's not revenue. It's profit.
It's profit. Okay, thank you.
Revenue,
he said
they're still ahead.
Yeah,
their margin is so low that even though they make the most revenue, they are actually the lowest in net profit.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, he said Colt Eastwood apparently posted it, and others. I haven't seen it.
It's from if you want to see it, it's from Derek over at Tweaktown. He put a pie chart together based on information that was in text form in the documents. PlayStation's like 1.41 billion, Microsoft's 1.5 billion, and Nintendo is like 2.99 billion in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
the money printing machine, Nintendo.
They basically print money. There's no doubt about it.
You learn that those money hats are not cheap.
We actually, they're not. We actually saw there's a list of what Microsoft would have had to pay to get some games that were exclusive.
Their guesses on what they would have had to pay. What they assume they'd have been asked. And it's funny, the Baldur's Gate 3 thing, people are like, they called it a second-hand Stadia game. And no, they said second run. It was a second run because they weren't going to get it at launch, because if you remember, Baldur's Gate 3 was originally exclusively launching on Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true.
So it was a second run Stadia game, as in they're getting it second because it's exclusively launching on Stadia. It wasn't an insult.
Yeah, no, it was not. So I saw a lot of people running with the insulting. I'm like, folks, they're not insulting it. It's not a second hand. It's second run, meaning another launch. I saw that and I was like,
yeah, their third run now. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Jax82 drops very generous $5 super chat. Says, I played Lies of P. Really good game. The only problem I have is the combat and the block mechanic. I block one move, but gets hit twice.
You don't want to block. You want to parry, and you got to let go and parry again. They swing 4 times. You got to parry it 4 times. And it feels so good.
I wanted to love the demo, and I just didn't. Maybe it's just it's over my.
If you can't get the parrying down, you can't play the game. It is built. You can't block and dodge. You need to parry.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so that's what I was. Probably what I was doing wrong. Maxi Coleman drops very generous $5 super chat and says, "Finished 2 faction lines, getting a little bored, so I decided to rush the main quest. OMG." Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, it's this game is long. It's big. I have not gotten to that point of, well, I just kind of want to finish it. I keep going further every time I see something in the distance, and that's why I'm nearly 5 days, and I'm probably only halfway through the story. I did finish several of the faction missions, though, and got some pretty dope ships because of it. RC Polygons drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, with old Microsoft talking about the possibility of buying both WBG, Nintendo, Microsoft sees this issue will not gaining the IP. Yeah, you see, we all talked about this for a while. He's talking about Warner Brothers. Would they be getting the IP? And the answer is no, they wouldn't. And then who the hell wants, why spend the money?
You get some very talented devs, but the thing that's worth all the money is the IP. So unless you can get some sort of long-term exclusivity, like you get 5 Batman games, but then it goes,
I will only throw in there, and give me a moment to throw in there. Why? Because folks in the chat have said it over and over and over and over again, so I must bring it up because it's pertinent right now. You do get Mortal Kombat if you buy WB games.
You do get Mortal Kombat. That's
and Mortal Kombat is awesome. I'm sorry, if you haven't played it, the recent version is just
it's downloaded.
Oh my god, it is.
Play it on the Switch. It's so funny.
Don't play it on the Switch.
Play it on the Switch.
No Vaseline version.
It's just don't play it. No, it's not Vaseline. There's literally completely different models that are missing like 90% of their texture. It's like a PS2 game that's been up-resed. It's the funniest thing.
It looks,
IGN
I saw some screenshots up close, and it looks
on Xbox. It looks like you're playing HMV characters. It's so lifelike.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
That's why we.
So yes, you get Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Well, so the rest of it though is he's saying I think MS would have to buy all of Warner Brothers Discovery. Do you think MS would do that? It is possible they could do that, but they would have to want to get into that area. And movies and TV is a logistical and legal headache. It's a
and
lot
right now, the strikes, you're buying into the company that's like leading, and being the biggest dickheads in the strikes.
Buy it, right? Because they're going to be down, and they've been having misses a lot this year.
Isn't the same way they did with ABK, right? You buy them when they're low.
But they do have to look. They've done this before, and Microsoft got the hell out of it, right? So they didn't want to deal with the legal nightmare that is the entire movie industry. And
movie and TV is just it's a dirty business.
If
one of the few people
compete, though, they might have to do it because Amazon's got it, Apple's got it, Sony's got it. Right. At some point, Google, if they want to stay in gaming, right, they've got it too. So if you want to stay at that level, you kind of need to dip your toe into this. And
It's
not
I
a
wouldn't even
bad
think it would
idea.
be not about having the video or not about having TV or movies, but just having the IP. That's the main thing they want. They want IP, and if that is the only way
From
they
a
could get
gaming
it, that would
perspective.
yeah. They want to be able to have that IP to make games for these types of things
But if you
because
want
they
that
can just
production
be enormous.
value, it's just one of those things that they might want to have to look at. I mean, again, look, all their competitors kind of have it except Nintendo. And Nintendo's been partnering, I guess, with Universal. They're going to make the Nintendo universe with them, right? But I don't know. It's just something they have to look at, right? Is this something they want to get into or not, right? To compete at that level. But interesting question.
No, it's well. Listen, it is interesting. We're going to see. I don't think Microsoft is done at all.
Certainly not.
I really don't. Sir X Man
Nope.
drops a $2 super chat and says, "I have a totally different opinion on the situation." We'll talk about
And
it.
then
Brother.
that's it.
Drop it into the chat. RC Polygons drops a very generous additional $10 super chat and says, "My favorite thing about the leak is how much money Microsoft is willing to spend on Game Pass, with many games with 5 million up to like $300 million per game, and Microsoft is willing to spend that on Xbox." Well, I mean, look how much money they make per month on Xbox Game Pass with people paying full price. So it's
Thing is, a lot of those were day one cost, and they didn't do most of those day one because it's a lot of freaking money. But they did get them eventually, like Lego Star Wars. They got pretty early, and then Gotham Knights they got later. But it's really good. It's a very bad time to have gotten it because it's so insanely busy. Except for people that don't have the money to keep buying everything, it's a great time for them. So
Game Pass this month is just bonkers good.
This year has been. If you just go through the list this year, oh my god.
Yeah, you can't complain about about the money you spent or you didn't. Maybe you got a good deal.
That's one thing. A main thing I've run into as I get more into like the industry at large is people that are just really used to always being able to get a game code if they want it, kind of forgetting when you have like if you get 10 things in Game Pass in a year, that's way more than the casual player is going to play, and it's enough.
Yeah,
but there's like been 100 good things in it this year.
If you're super casual, maybe 4 games, maybe 5 if you're really keeping your ear to the floor. But the casual audience, they're going to get Game Pass and they're going to be inundated with.
And they're just going to play GTA Online for 25 hours a week.
Probably, yeah. Listen, last and no way least, Spartan661, brother, thank you so much for being a part of tonight's show and dropping the $2 object. And says Lord Sav is running like DB Cooper, DB Cooper for that leak. My goodness.
So they had an impromptu podcast where they were all in different locations, and it looked like Sav was in jail. It looked like he was on the run.
That's great stuff. Oh my god. So listen, guys, let's get right into it. 10 million players in 2 weeks. Now, granted, obviously it released a early access. Like by 5 days. It was available on the 1st. It launched on the 6th. Today, obviously, is the 20th. When you consider just the 14 days, I want to be crystal clear, just the 14 days, 10 million of anything is massive. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of pushback, Hargeet. 10 million players, but that's all Game Pass. It's not. Trust me, it is not. You have to understand, folks, this is a really big deal. It is a single-player game. It is only available on 2 platforms. You're either playing it on your Xbox. 10 million players in 2 weeks of a single-player game goes to show you the power of a Bethesda joint. Okay? So, Hargeet, I want to get your hot take on that, but I do want to pose a back-end question. Now, we all know from numerous documents that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be an exclusive. If you are a PlayStation-only player, you're either going to play on your very expensive PC that you told everyone that you have, or you're going to secretly buy an Xbox, put it in a closet somewhere, tell all your friends that you don't have an Xbox and play this game. Either way, that's the only way you're going to play it. Hargeet, my question very simply is this. With the success, we're not even at full sprint yet. Remember, it's only 2 weeks old. This game is going to have long freaking legs, and it's going to probably hit 15 or at least 15 by the end of the year, maybe even 20 million by the end of the year.
Yep.
When you see this kind of success, does this give Microsoft and specifically Bethesda confidence to know that when they release Elder Scrolls potentially as a launch title for the next Xbox as an exclusive, that it's going to be a game that is going to not only sell gangbusters but move consoles?
Yeah, I mean, the thing to remember, and this is one of the strengths, some people hate it, of Microsoft versus the competitors, is they do day and date PC.
Yes.
And that gives you a massive install base. And because of that, so I don't know if people saw this bit of news. This is the 5th best-selling game of the year in Europe.
Yes.
Right. And that is not on the strength of an Xbox console. It's going to be on the backs of a PC, because Xbox does not sell well in EU. Right. But it's Hogwarts, Diablo, Tears of the Kingdom, Jedi Survivor, and Starfield. And Starfield just launched. Right. So this is going to have legs for a little while.
Yeah.
Right. And it may end up becoming one of the top 3 selling games in Europe. And it's going to be on the back of PC. And yes, it could sell some Xbox consoles 100%. Right. But that is the key to what Microsoft doesn't have to worry about this. A, they've got Game Pass. B, they've got PC, right? And that install base is always going to be there to buy that game. And that's why it doesn't necessarily, they have like what, 1/2, maybe even less of the install base of consoles of PlayStation 5 for the Xbox Series. It's low.
It's a very low number.
It's not the end of the world for them because they launched day and date on PC. And look, I played it on PC. I don't. It's not that you've been playing on both, right? You've had it on the Rogue Ally.
You've been playing it here, there, everywhere.
Right?
I play it everywhere I can.
Exactly, right? And I know so many people who decided, you know what, that just runs better on PC. I'm going to play it on PC, right? Or I'm playing on the console, and that's fine, right? But that is the thing that allows it to grow this much.
Even the troglodyte master himself, Mr. Everborn Saga, who's all about the PC, console, is playing it on PC because the textures on the faces.
I love it. It is what it is, right? So, and because they do that, because they have that massive install base of PC players, the sales numbers just come, right? And the European, that's not Game Pass, that's sales. That's actual sales. It is the 5th highest selling game of the year in Europe, right? So that's actual sales. So it's all Game Pass. No, it's not all Game Pass. I bought the Constellation Edition. I know you bought one too, right? I think you had it.
Yeah.
Right? And BoomStick, you had the Constellation. Actually, you got a code as well, right? You got the code.
I got a code, right? and I also bought the Constellation Edition as well. Yes.
So it's not just a lot of people bought this game, right? Because people wanted to play it early, and that was a brilliant move. And then B, it's just one of those games, you're just going to keep playing it. So if you have Game Pass, great. You may not want to be subscribed to Game Pass all the time, and you might want to just play this game. It's just one of those games, right? It's like, how many times did people buy Skyrim? A lot. It's like, oh, this is the next gen version. This is the next anniversary version. Oh, I'm on a new console. Like people just bought that game so many times, right? It's just going to be like that, right? So 10 million is good. It needs to keep growing. It'll keep going, I'm sure. Microsoft had their sights on it being the largest Bethesda game, right? They want to make it the most played game from Bethesda. They're well on their way. That's great news. And it is selling. It is not just it's on Game Pass. It is selling. And hopefully it continues. I hope people keep trying it and like it, right? And if they can, enjoy the game, that's awesome. And we'll see where it ends up, right? The quarter for them would be the end of this month, right? So we'll see what they say. But if you want to count, like, say, the 6 to 8 week to 12-week horizon, this is probably going to end up in that 15 to 20 range. That's a pretty impressive amount, right? So we'll see where it ends up by the end of the year. But yeah, I hope it does end up at like 20-ish. That'd be awesome. Engagement wise, they certainly have the potential with Game Pass to go even higher. But I think they're going to have sales in this plus 10 million range. I wouldn't be surprised if it sells more than 10 million. Even though it's available in Game Pass on PC and on console, I think they'll have sales higher than that. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Congrats to the team. Congrats to God Howard, right? You know, the
His
game's
baby.
doing well. It's resonating. That's awesome, right? So I guess that's that's what I've got, you know, for that one.
What are your thoughts on the back end question? Like,
Oh, right. How
you
does
know,
this deal with Elder Scrolls? Again, the beauty is even if they do a launch, hopefully they'll do it cross-gen. But if they don't do a cross-gen and say, hey, we're going to take advantage of the next gen only, again, they've got PC. And that's why it won't matter. They can do that. And they might only sell, I don't know, let's say 1.5 million consoles, which is a lot in their, you know, the launch window, right? And maybe only 10% of that buy this game, but they've got PC. And that's where it'll make up the bulk of it, right? People will buy it there. I still think they should do the Elder Scrolls 6 as an exclusive. I don't see any reason it needs to specifically come to other platforms. Everybody always thinks PlayStation. Don't forget, there is a new Nintendo coming, right? It could have very well come out there too, right? So, but I think it should stay on Xbox.
I think it's going to stay. I mean, based on the documents, it appears that it's going to stay as an exclusive.
That was their mindset, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I hope they do that, and Elder Scrolls 6 should be an Xbox exclusive. You know, and hopefully, you know, they do take that bold step. I think you're right. It's going to be a next gen game. It just realistically, is it really going to come out before that? Maybe. I mean, it's possible it comes out in 27, but like the 26, okay, maybe, right? But that's a very
that would be pushing the envelope. I think. I mean, I think you're more you're onto something with considering how long this game took, Starfield took to come out. And they know. I put it to this way. I am sure that when they look back at Phil Spencer saying, "Hey, listen, we're going to delay it. Go, guys, go do what you do. This has got to release flawlessly, right?" And we look at where Todd originally was going to release it to what we got now, and it's like, you know what, that delay was absolutely the best move we could have made, right?
And if they give them that, hey, this is something we're looking for our launch in 28, you've got that much time, go do it. One of the other things I keep hearing from people who are detractors of the game is that it didn't change the Bethesda formula, which I'm like, why do you want to change the Bethesda formula for Bethesda? I
kind of like the Bethesda game to be a Bethesda game, but that's just because I'm a fan. But
some people don't like that. And okay, fair enough. If you want it to be more realistic looking or whatever it is, well, that's going to take time in the engine, right? They're going to have to revamp the engine, probably working with the other studios to figure that out. But Asante, I can't hear you. I don't know if that's just me.
Can you not hear me?
Oh yeah, now we can. Yeah.
Now we can hear.
Ooh, forgive me. I was just saying I'd push back a little bit on the notion that they didn't change the Bethesda formula. The Pixelbit G, I don't know if he's in the chat, but he's put it best, and I agree with him. Like, this game has all other games as mini games in this game. I think that's changing the formula a little bit. No?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that statement. I think it does what I wanted it to do, right? But there are, and I gotta be fair, there are things about the crafting that aren't as
sure
featured as some of the other games. The building is like the base building is somewhat lacking.
I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest,
it's somewhat
with you.
lacking, right? So there are things they could have done a little bit better. But if people are looking for a revamp of this engine to make it look even more realistic or something, like the character models and whatnot, well, that's going to take time, right? And if you want to do that, fair enough. But that means that's years for just that, and then you have the game, right? And that's what Starfield, it took that, right? They had to redo Creation Engine to upgrade it up to a level, and then they could start. So this is one of those things. So if you want to do that, it's going to push the game out. But yeah, as far as the sales, I'm good with it being an Xbox exclusive. And again, they don't have to worry about it. They have PC. That PC just makes it so much easier for them because they've got, like, whatever it is, hundreds of millions of players to go after. And it's selling well. It's selling well. And you can just take the Europe numbers. That's most likely all PC. And it is selling well. So, you know, they've got that backup plan as far as the sales numbers. So I don't see the issue. Go for it. Make it exclusive PC and console for Xbox only. So
yeah, I think you're onto something. I honestly do. But you know what? I want to bring Jesse Norris, who's our guest. I probably should have started with you because you're our special guest, Jesse. I want to read a couple of things for you because I find this to be incredibly impressive. Now, when you go to Starfield game, when you go to @Starfield game, which is the official Twitter account or the X account, if you will, of Starfield, it simply says this: the first new universe in over 25 years from Bethesda Game Studios, the award-winning creators of Skyrim and Fallout 4. Okay, so that's a pretty impressive statement, right? But I kind of want to just shift over for something over to this. Now, Bethesda comes out and they make this big announcement. Hey, thanks to all of the astronomical 10 million Starfield players. But it's this simple sentence that really is the stake in the ground for me. Thank you to the more than 10 million Starfield explorers for creating the biggest launch in Bethesda history. I kind of want the chat for that to sink in for a second, because it's giving me goosebumps. It is the biggest game in the company's 25 years in the business. That is a really big deal. I do want to get your take on the 10 million players. I also want to get you on the back end question of whether or not the success of this game and the continued success of this game is, when you look at the well, we're gonna make Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive. Is that the right move? Is it going to move boxes? What are your takes, Jesse?
I mean, the moment that they did the sit-down interview, the round table with Phil and all of them, and he said, you can expect to see Bethesda's games where Game Pass is. And that's the only thing you've ever had to think about every time this question has come up. The exception is Call of Duty, because that is a very specific microtransaction-fueled thing that they also knew was going to be the thing everyone complained about, in that not realizing that their prior ambitions in cloud were going to bite them in the butt. Not that they had them really anymore. But pretty much, if you want to think, where is the next anything made by either Bethesda, any of the ZeniMax companies, anything Activision Blizzard King, it's going to be where Game Pass is natively available. If you want like an actual version of it, this success just further drives that forward. It's probably more, it seemingly seems to be even more than what they were. It's probably their best case scenario. The way it seems it's gone. And it just comes down to the fact that I think they've really shifted from, we're going to push cloud, and people will play on their phones and any device, and realized, no, we just need to have the best things we can in Game Pass. That is what will grow our platform. And putting the things we're going to be paying for to exist on other platforms has to make sense in a way that almost nothing but Call of Duty does. They had the line about legacy games. That's games, legacy software that's already released. They'll never pull it away. They'll never stop supporting it, because that would piss off regulators. But even you could hear it when the FTC was trying, will you put Diablo on PlayStation forever? And Phil was like, I'm not answering that. This is about Call of Duty. Yeah, I'll put Call of Duty there. I'll swear that I will put Call of Duty on PlayStation forever because it's a money printing machine. But I'm not going to swear that on anything, because that is not the case for most games. If they were buying Fortnite, Epic and Fortnite instead of ABK, Fortnite would stay everywhere, because much like Minecraft, it just prints money and there's no point in taking it off. But Bethesda games had kind of been struggling. They're not,
which is why they were acquired.
Like, that's why they were selling, because their founder was sick and did pass away. And they, as a company, had been forced by their main investor, who, I always forget the name, but they had a main shareholder who was like, go make game as a service games, go chase that, which is why you got Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, Redfall, Wolfenstein Youngblood, like everything they did.
Terrible
that
Youngblood,
wasn't,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the save, it was right after their whole save single player thing, but then the investor comes in and is like, nope, we want you to chase microtransactions. And they had two of them come out of it pretty okay. Fallout 76, not okay at launch, really good now. Elder Scrolls Online, okay at launch, and fantastic now. But yeah, no, they're not. It's an Xbox. If it's an Xbox game, you probably need an Xbox. That's just the way it's going to go if you don't want to get a PC. And I don't see that changing for anything outside of very specific situations. Like they're going to have Candy Crush, which is going to make more money than almost anything else they own. They're not going to take Candy Crush off of iPhone and Android and bring back Windows Phone. Like outside of that situation, if you want their stuff and they're perfectly happy if you buy it on PC, it's Xbox or PC, and there's no reason to think that's going to change.
Jesse, shout out to Emil in the chat. He said it was Providence Equity, previous shareholder of ZeniMax.
They were the ones that were.
Thank you for that, Emil. Super appreciate that. So Jesse, let's get your back end opinion on keeping Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive. Do you think that this is going to move consoles? Like I said, just based on the success of what we're seeing with Starfield, only 2 weeks after its official launch, we're at 10 million players across 2 platforms. And folks, again, I'm this is not throwing any digs, but I just want to use it for context. Baldur's Gate 3 is a big game, right? Monster game. 400 people, Larian Studios made, and again, it's not going to click with me. It's not clicking with Hargeet. It's not going to click with everybody. But it's a 97 meta rated game. It's going to be in the Game of the Year conversation, right? That's when you consider what it did, and it did really good numbers on PC. It didn't do so well on PlayStation 5, regardless of all the people screaming, "Oh, we got an exclusive." No one bought it. Same goes for Final Fantasy 16. Great game. I'm going to pick it up eventually. I'm hoping that I can get it used for like maybe $20, and that's when I'll drop the money down, because right now it makes no. I don't want to spend the money because I'm not going to play it. But being a PlayStation 5 only exclusive, it sold, but it didn't sell like it's not selling like Starfield. So that's
and those deals are what got their previous CEO fired, because they were losing them too much money.
Absolutely, 1,000%. So this is a really big deal. Will this move consoles for Xbox when Elder Scrolls 6 releases? If it releases at the same time as the new console?
I mean, if I don't see a reason to not believe their 3 to 4 year time frame, simply because Starfield was rebuilding the engine. It's rebuilt now. They can keep improving it and stuff like that, but the actual game making part for Elder Scrolls should be a lot shorter, because a lot of the things end up being, well, between pre-production and actual production, it was about 5 to 7 years on most AAA things, but that almost always includes a lot of the engine stuff. So I don't think it'll be nearly as long if they've got their refresh, if they do have an actual mid-gen upgrade, like those types of things. Yeah, good games sell things, and the more they have, that's what, when we had Phil on for episode 100 and John joked, there's too many games, and Phil was like, no, never say that. There are never enough games. They, like, buying Bethesda, buying Activision, probably buying more after that, is simply because they need as many big games as they can, and they need to build a huge ass PC store. Like, if they can get BattleNet and all their stuff integrated into each other, because that's also one of the things they're doing with the Windows Store, where, like, you can tie your Windows account or your Xbox account into the Riot Store, and that's how you get all your perks for that. And, you know, once they've got the BattleNet Store, you can tie it in, and you can get perks in probably WoW and Overwatch and stuff. You can already get them in Overwatch. So their whole play, it's the console is the heart of it, because they want to bring the console experience everywhere. But even if they know their growth isn't console, they can get more of that small slice. What they want is more of the enormous slice of PC, and to finally penetrate the biggest slice, which is mobile. So
yeah, they're gonna get it, man. They're definitely gonna get it. Great points, Jesse. Hey, Asante, let's bring you in on a conversation. 10 million players, dude. Like, it's a really, really big deal. This is a new IP. It's on a console, you know, because say what you want about PC, and obviously it is a big draw, no doubt about it. But Xbox is in third place. Xbox is the one that doesn't have games. Xbox can't put out a banger, right? And here we are. Here we are. We're all addicted to this game like crack cocaine. We don't know what to do with ourselves, right? And then, of course, 10 million is announced. Let's talk about it, man.
I mean, I think anybody trying to downplay this thing is fooling themselves. It's ridiculous. It has made itself. It has established itself. If it wasn't a dominant IP before, it is definitely a dominant IP now, right? It is Halo worthy, if you will, for Microsoft at this point, right? What is it? 250,000 concurrent players during the on Steam specifically during the early access period, and that early access period was not the $33. You just pay a couple $33 and you
no, that was the $100 edition.
That was the $100 edition, absolutely, right? And then us fools played the $33 edition because the Constellation edition wasn't going to get here fast enough. You know what I'm saying? So some of us double, triple, and quadruple dipped, if you know what I'm saying.
I didn't spend a penny.
Well, yeah, you know.
Good on you, Mr.
Screw you, Jesse. Day one, on launch day, it had over a million players, despite it getting cracked day one and being available to be downloaded for free on PC if you did the deed. If you sail the high seas, as they say, it was cracked. You could just download it, but still, it has hit it's beaten so many metrics, as Hargeet is saying, and very true. It seems that like the UK physical sales numbers are the final bastion of physical media these days. That's the only one that people hold dear, and even there, it's cracking numbers. And in a location where Xbox, they compete, but it's PlayStation's stronghold. Let's be straight, right?
Yeah.
So it's nothing to sneeze at. Absolutely. The only one I think of Bethesda's games that has reached higher heights is Fallout 4, I think, and it's and in the same time period, Fallout had higher concurrent. So this is on its way, but Fallout did hit a higher number. And in hindsight, people didn't like Fallout as much as they liked Fallout 3. So maybe it was the beginning immediate hit, and then of course it tapered off a little.
Bit. Yeah.
It looks like Starfield is just taking off and going further and further and further. To the point that Hargeet was making about it seemingly being a having lots of pieces but not being a master of any. I see that criticism as well. I definitely do. Right. It doesn't have the decision system of a Baldur's Gate 3. It doesn't have the exploration and space exploration of a No Man's Sky. All the pieces that it doesn't have the mass amazing potential interactive relationships of a Mass Effect kind of game, but it comes close enough to all of them in one game. It comes close enough to all of them in one game. So to me, I think it because it's able to do that, it transcends all of them. It's able to do all of that, all of them, because in those other games, you're enjoying your crazy No Man's Sky exploration, and when it comes to talking to people, it's beep, 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 and then you have words on the screen, right? Rather than an actual interactive conversation. They're able to traverse all the others. So I think 6 million is just the floor. You're going to see this thing blow up crazy. Next year, we're going to keep talking about it. When DLC happens, it'll be a whole new thing.
Yeah.
I see it being monster for a long time. So much so that I have now regulated myself to not playing the whole thing out, because this is going to be a game I can't put this down. I won't be able to put it down. Right? It has to now be because I'm a grazer. Hashtag grazer. Shout out to Mr. Pong Soul.
There he is, Mr. Grazer himself.
Right? So I know for sure that I'll be like I've already dipped my toe into MK.
Good for you, man. Dude, that statue.
That's a big statue. That's a big statue. I've dipped my toe into MK. I'm gonna start playing other games, but guess what? I'm also playing Starfield. I'm gonna continue to play this game next year. So what I suspect I'm going to do is I'm just gonna mainline the story, get to the end of the story, and then
go back and do the factions and stuff. Yeah, smart.
New Game Plus will just be everything else.
Yeah.
Do you think that
we'll see.
Next patch with the DLSS stuff comes out this year or next? Probably next, right?
I would say the
I
start of
think
next
probably next. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
too.
think
I'm kinda
probably
there.
next. And
Yeah.
and for those who are really, really like aching for DLSS, there are enough mods out there that are easy enough to place in certain folders. You'll be fine. Probably next year. Yeah. Now I was hoping against hope that we probably would see, an unofficial mod support come for Starfield on console, and that would also bring 60 frames. Because I know damn well the minute they allow mod support, you will get the unofficial 60 frames like a week later.
Yeah, the
Because
unlocking
the hardware can handle it. There'll be some dips,
Yeah.
but the hardware can handle it. That's what I'm hoping for that we get soon. But no, I honestly think that this is one of those things where I thought that, oh yeah, I'm going to no life this game. I'm going to play this game for a long time and then play something else. Now I'm kind of like, nah, I think I'm going to play this and Party Animals. I'm going to play
Dude,
this
Party
and
Animals
Mortal
looks
Kombat.
so much fun, dude. Oh my
I've played
God.
Party Animals with my
Yeah.
kids. Party Animals is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. It is the truth.
I'm gonna try and
Fall
play
Guys
Mrs. Boom and
2.0.
Tyler. That's what we're gonna probably play when
Nice.
he
You need
when
to
he
do
gets
it.
over next weekend. Yeah.
The only thing I find missing, and maybe it's because it wasn't in the public beta, maybe it's more. I didn't see couch co-op, which was sad. So I had to do one Game Pass on mobile,
I
one
think they
on
have
the couch.
I think it has split screen listed on the store page.
Okay. So I didn't see that during the open beta, but hopefully they do have that. But that game is amazing. Anyone who's talking down on that game is not a gamer at heart.
That
You
game
need
looks
to try
fun,
that thing.
Yeah,
It's amazing. But next year, when you talk to me, when I'm telling you about all the amazing games I'm playing, I'll probably be talking about Starfield again.
Listen.
Am I a fraud? I haven't played Starfield in almost 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Well,
but
you got a chance to really deep dive into that thing by yourself.
You went crazy on it, dude. So
I mean, I did 120 hours in 2 weeks, but still.
Jesus,
Nice.
Are you
Nice.
kidding me? So then
No.
you have no.
Are you
right to
sure
worry
it was
about
you, or it was the clone that you have writing all your reviews right now?
God.
Oh my
I don't know
God,
that we could afford to feed a clone with how much I eat.
Listen, enjoy life, brother, because we only got one of them. Look, we still
Indeed.
have about half an hour left, and I'm not going to end the show because we got to talk about Benji Sales, great friend of mine, great friend of the community. He put out a tweet about the new Cyberpunk DLC and the scores it's getting.
Mhm. Yeah.
Jesus. Wow. But before we get to that, folks, I do got to catch up on a couple of channel member messages as well as some super chats, and then we're going to tackle that. Maxi Coleman drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says 10 million people on a 30 million install base. That is some adoption rate. I think that's the 10 million is really combined with PC and Xbox. I don't know what the number difference is. Is it 7 million on Xbox and 3 million, or is it closer to 5 and 5? We don't know the exact numbers, but it's still a great point, Maxie. And thank you for the additional super chat. Spartan 661 drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says 3 weeks tomorrow. And the first 5 days of early access. Yeah, that's very true. RC Polygons, wow, dude, he drops an additional $10 super chat and says a follow-up about Microsoft buying WB. I think Microsoft would just buy the core WB from the rest of Discovery. Sports, CNN, TBS, TNT would stay with Discovery. Discovery will become independent. That's an interesting theory there, RC Polygons. And that would be the best case scenario because they wouldn't worry about that and just take WB, which of course would include Mortal Kombat and NetherRealm.
Only problem with that is Discovery themselves were broke. That's why they were bought with WB. They needed help. So if they go off by themselves, they better have some extra cash to be able to handle their
that would be the point of the purchase, right? Is
that would
they
be
would,
exactly.
dump cash
they would get all that
which
money.
they desperately need. They have
they need cash. Yeah,
all the debt from AT&T, right? So they have
they're
in financial unhappiness right now.
It is an interesting theory, though. It is an interesting theory. Yeah, it's interesting.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
Adidas 20, who's been a channel member for 8 months. Thank you so much for the support, brother. He says this is not the Xbox One era. Indeed, it is not. It is looking more and more like not only an Xbox 360 era, but one that's going to even outpace that.
It's kind of like the original Xbox era, right? It's kind of like the
dude, the
when it
original
just launched,
Xbox had so many
they're
great
going all
games,
out,
dude.
right?
It's so good. I actually still have in storage in perfect condition the see-through green Master Chief edition.
Yeah.
With the matching controller and everything. Actually it was my brother's, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't want this." I'm like, "Oh, give me that. Give it to me."
I still have the first OG Xbox I hacked. It's still sitting over there. It's got 2 terabytes of storage.
You have always been a techie. Oh my goodness. Adidas 20 drops a $5 super chat and says, "Correct me if I'm wrong, but Xbox has a lot of studios, but that leak seemed to be only Bethesda only." Yeah, it was nothing to do with their Xbox game studios or Xbox games publishing games that they're working in. It was just Bethesda for some reason. Very strange. Dean Rivera,
it was kind of random.
It
just happened to be a Bethesda one in there.
Well, thank goodness it wasn't the other ones, and shamefully that it was. But I'm happy because I know that Oblivion is confirmed. Dean Rivera drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "Apparently there's documentation on Twitter from the leak by Phil to the FTC saying that if their Game Pass numbers don't go up by 2027, they'll leave the market." Think that's true, or they're trying to look weak to the FTC? I saw people saying it's not. It's just
it was not. People put it up without the context. The context was there was an internal chart made by a different department, and he's like, if we only grow that much, we probably leave the business. As in, we think we're going to grow way more than that by 2027.
People dissected what he said and specifically put it in a way that sounds like, "Oh, we're leaving the business because whatever." People are just mean-spirited.
No one's getting context. Yeah, it's like the Nintendo thing. They don't care about the context. They take the clickbait headline and they just run with it.
Indeed. Don't click on it. Please don't. It's just ridiculous. And they know they're going to get us to click on it, so don't do it. Gerald Mack drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Does anyone on the panel believe that Xbox proving they can have mass success without Sony scares them?" It scares Sony. And listen, folks, let's call a spade a spade. Sony wanted this as a permanent exclusive. People seem to keep getting that. People are all pointing the finger, "Oh, Xbox took my game away." Sony was going to do the same thing as they've done before. Spider-Man, the character is only available on one box, folks.
Yeah, can you imagine that different multiverse where this is a PlayStation 5 exclusive and people are just really ripping into people?
And 10s out of 10.
Oh yeah, it would get 10 out of 10 everywhere.
Dan Stapleton
it wouldn't have been made by Todd Howard because
astronaut and gave it an 11 out of 10. That's what he would have done. Same way he dressed up as Kratos and gave it a 7. That's what
after how angry Todd Howard was about the PS3 over Skyrim. It would have been somebody else having to lead this game because he would not. He was the reason they didn't sign a marketing deal with it, like him directly.
There you go.
And he was very excited to be purchased by Microsoft because he has such a good relationship with them.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's no Elseworlds, folks.
To his point, I mean, there is no reason that Xbox can't exist in the market while Sony dominates the market. That's totally fine. You don't have to be number one. Right, you just have to make enough money to sustain your business, right? And Microsoft is doing gangbangers.
Phil talked about that a lot. He was like, "I don't want to take their, I don't want to take their slice. I want to make the pie bigger, and we all get more money." Yeah, and they're like, "No, we're gonna." And then Sony's entire strategy opening the generation was, "We're going to kill you. We're going to open everything we can." They're not making
everybody right. They came.
Yeah, they're not making more money because they're spending everything they make to try and choke off their competition. It's the way they've always been.
Yeah. So I mean, like in the thing we just got, with the profit being higher on Xbox, slightly, right? But
it's slightly more higher. Yeah.
Right. And they're fine,
just a little 90 million.
Right.
That's so much money.
And Nintendo's sitting there in third place saying, "We don't care.
We'll make 300. We'll make 3 billion."
Yeah, it's fine. We'll just sell you an old game, and I'll just like a dummy. We'll go and buy it.
People were flipping. Yeah, people were flipping out. It was a show of ports and remakes, and people love it.
Yeah. It is what it is. Spartan 661 drops a $5 super chat and says, I love the fact that Bethesda is an Xbox organically purchased since the PC versions of TES 1 and 2 in the 90s and TES 3 Morrowind on the original Xbox in 2001. Yeah, that's definitely an organic purchase, no doubt about that.
Money is organic in nature, so yes.
Yeah, it is. Spartan661, who's been a channel member for 2 months, says, Mr. Boomstick, thank you for all the podcasts. Well, brother, thank you to everyone that's here that allows me to do this, because without you, I'll be talking to the wind, and without an amazing panel like we have here, I wouldn't even have a show. So I have to say thanks to you, the audience.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Jesse. You're very welcome.
Boom, did you get the one from Gamers Play HUD Zero?
No. Gamers Play HUD Zero, who's been a channel member for almost 2 years. Brother, thank you so much for the generosity. He says, boom, leaks aside, Xbox has a very bright future. Tokyo Game Show will cement the future of games abroad, and ABK will
about 8 hours
acquired by October 18th. Sega is next. Xbox World Order. Yeah, we're going to be covering that tomorrow. I have 2.
You're getting up at 5 a.m. Boom?
No, I'm covering it at noon, and I'm going to get up at 6 to get myself together.
I saw people very mad. Why is it at 5 a.m.? I was like, because it's in Japan. It's a Japanese trade show.
Folks,
that's
time
zones.
They do. Yeah. Real quick before we go, obviously we still have about 15 minutes. Let's talk about Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Now, I'm going to be honest with you folks. I put about maybe 9 or 10 hours into the original Cyberpunk. I'm going to scrap that 10 hours because 2.0 is coming out soon, and it has all these new features, and the gunplay is better, and everything is better about it. So I'm gonna start over. But let's just talk Cyberpunk 2077, the DLC known as Phantom Liberty. Here are the reviews, folks. This comes the way of one of the community's finest in Benji sales. We all love Benji. What's not to love about the guy? He's a numbers guy. Check out these numbers. Check out these scores. GameSpot gives it a 10. Well Played gives it a 10. Forbes gives it a 10. Press Start gives it a 10. Gaming Trend gives it a 9.5 out of a 95 out of 100. IGN gives it a 9. Push Square gives it a 9. Windows Central 4.5 out of 5. PC Gamer 87 out of 100, and Game Informer gives it an 8.5. On Metacritic, it's currently right now with its reviews, it is sitting at a 91. And Open Critic, it is sitting at a 90. Guys, when are we going to have the time for this? But I'm going to go first to Hargeet. Let me go. You know what, Hargeet? I'll come to you in a second. Let me go to Kay Asante, who is incredibly excited about this because his boy is in it. I mean, Idris Elba is what an amazing actor, but they captured him so freaking well. It's like you're watching the human. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
yes. It's stylized, but it's still very cool. I'm sure Jesse, you'll find reasons to make me jealous
Jesse
again because you're
reviewing it right now as we speak.
Yes, I'm a huge fan of Cyberpunk. I have 6 days in the base game.
Jesus Christmas! Wow.
Just driving around, just letting the ray tracing waft over me as I play. Yes, and yes, I built a monster rig just for this game.
Good for you.
For this game. So let's just say I'm going to be playing this game day one. As I said, I love Starfield. I'm going to continue saying Starfield. I can't stop playing Starfield to play other games, so now I'm just going to be playing multiple things at the same time.
You're going to get wrapped up enough. You
think I'm going to drop
forget
Starfield?
About Starfield. Oh, yeah. You're not going to drop it. You're just going to get so enraptured that you won't touch it.
This man makes me even more excited as I sit here watching this game.
I love it. That's good stuff.
I'm super excited. No, because I loved Cyberpunk. I loved it when it was first announced. Yes, it came out and had a bunch of issues. Played it on PC. I always tend to have a machine that has some overhead, so like I tried to brute force my way through things. So I was even able to get a decent experience on the console and the PC for Cyberpunk. I still love it. So this coming out and getting better, can't wait. Can't wait. Don't know how anyone's gonna play it, but hey, can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Hargeet, let's get to you, brother, because you obviously you dive into games, and you folks, if you didn't know the story of Hargeet and Starfield, it's ridiculous. He in 3 days, folks. He slept 3 hours. I'm not lying. He said it live on the air. He played Starfield so much in 3 days that he only took 3 hours to sleep. Think about that for a second. In 3 days, he slept an hour per day, and he was playing Starfield.
Yep.
What are you going to do now with this Phantom Liberty DLC? Are you jumping headfirst into it?
So I've been holding off on Cyberpunk, waiting for all the patches. So I had pre-ordered it. I have it on Xbox. I never played it because of all the bugs. I'm like, I'll just wait. I'll let them fix it up. And then I keep hearing, oh, there'll be a next gen patch. Cool. Then I hear there's gonna be an updated next gen patch. I'll just wait. Then I hear, oh, there's path tracing. Okay, I'll just wait. Oh, now there's Phantom Liberty. I've been waiting this whole time to dive into this game. So now I get the perfect opportunity. It's been revamped to the game it should have been. It comes with the DLC, which I already bought. So I'm going to be jumping on my 4090, path tracing enabled.
Good for you, dude.
And play the whole game from the beginning. So now I start my vacation in the week of Thanksgiving, and then I'm out all the way through January.
Yes.
So through New Year's. So I will pretty much do what I did with Starfield, which is start the game, and what's sleep? I will just keep playing the game. That's probably what's going to happen, right? So there's going to be a couple of these kind of games, and this is going to be one of them. I've been waiting to play this game for a very long time.
Yes, me too.
So, and it's The Witcher 3 was fantastic, right? So I'm hoping that I keep hearing that the game itself is pretty good. The bugs were bad, right? Fair enough. That should be all ironed out. And for me, it's on PC, so I'm not going to worry about performance. So hopefully all the janky bugs are all taken care of, and I can play this the way it was intended to be played. And to be fair, Witcher 3 also had bugs when it launched, and they fixed it up.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah,
people don't remember the Witcher 2's debacles.
Yeah, so I've been waiting for all the patches to come out, and it looks like we finally gotten to that point where the game should be very playable, has all the stuff that it should. I'm very interested in what the path tracing looks like, right? Because this is like the new ray tracing thing that we really should have been getting anyway. So I'm gonna definitely dive into it this holiday. So yeah, and I'm happy that the DLC is getting good ratings.
Yeah,
so this is kind of the rebirth of it. The only interesting thing is, does Microsoft have the hundreds of millions?
They have the marketing rights for it. They do.
To put it in Game Pass, right? This is the opportunity to say, you know what? Let's make it even more crazy.
Wow.
If you Cyberpunk in Game Pass, because remember there were like all these rumors of it coming in, right? And then it never.
Well, they had Witcher 3 for a little bit.
Yeah, and so it never seemed to happen, right? And so now
It
again,
could
I think
still.
Microsoft has enough stuff of their own. That's fair, right?
Yeah.
But like Phil said, you can never have enough.
Yeah, no. Listen,
during a slower time, it'll definitely go in there.
Yeah, so
it could still.
maybe you come into early next year, and they're like, yeah, January, February, yeah, we're gonna throw in Cyberpunk.
Could you imagine it? Could you imagine for like the open the year, Cyberpunk and the DLC is in Game Pass, like that? That's how you start a year.
Yeah,
like that is how you start a year.
Well, they normally put it in there like if it's been 4 or 5 months and they're ready to put the DLC on sale, and then you put the game in there because it's a double hit, because you get people to play it, they like it, they want to keep it, but also if you buy DLC for something and then it leaves after a few months, you end up saying, well, shit, I own DLC, I'm gonna now buy the game. They put it on sale for half off, so it's like all these different hits of when you can get people to keep buying something that's free.
It would listen. It makes perfect sense. Jesse, before we get to outros, let's get your take on this, because I dropped you did a review. I dropped it into the chat, folks. Please click on it. Check out Jesse Norris's review for Xbox Era of Phantom Liberty, the DLC for Cyberpunk. Is it live now? Your review?
Yeah, it went live when everyone else is dead at 11. Benji just hates me and didn't want to list it, or we're too small of a site, so he doesn't know we exist. One of the two. But yeah, no, I gave it a 9.2. I loved it. I played about 25 hours total because I played through every path you can go because there's choices you make that lead to wildly different scenarios. Played it mostly on Xbox to start with, but I played a ton on PC too.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. So I really liked it at launch. It played fine on One X, and it wasn't too buggy for me when I played it there. It was mostly really bad on PS4 and Xbox One, where this new patch and the DLC are not releasing. It's next gen only and PC only for patch 2.0 and all its stuff. And so the main thing that they've been doing the past 3 years is actually building the game because they only had about 2 years to make the entire thing they released. It's just the typical case of CD Projekt Red management and marketing giving them completely unrealistic timeframes. So you should look at patch 2.0 as the release, realistically, of what the devs were trying to make.
Okay.
It has driving physics, didn't have that at launch. It has AI for driving, didn't have that at launch. It has AI in an actual police system, didn't have that at launch. Everything they've added over the years is the stuff they wanted to build, but were not given the time to by management. So patch 2.0 is kind of the culmination because they've been adding stuff nonstop, but 2.0 finishes it off. And if this was the game that had been released at launch, it would probably be like a 95 on Metacritic. It would be unbelievably, it would be mostly 10s. I would have given it a 10 if this is what they launched with.
Wow.
DLC always scores lower than a base game, and yet this is still over 90. That just tells you everything. It's one of the best things I've played in a year that is just nothing but most of the best things I've played. It's really hard. Like Dead Space and Hi-Fi Rush were in January, and it just hasn't stopped. And then in this month alone, I scored Starfield, Lies of P, and now Cyberpunk all well over 9. And it's not
year, man.
It's
Crazy
just
yeah,
year.
like
I said, this is the year that beats 2007, and I think
crazy.
it beats it handily.
And Cyberpunk isn't just one of the best looking and best sounding and best written. It also plays really well. They rebalanced all the trees. You could become way overpowered before. It's still not super hard unless you want it to be, but you feel like your choices are more impactful. Everyone just gets like getting your double jump and your giant mantis blades and all the shit, but it's still first and foremost an RPG. So people coming into it should always remember that it is an RPG. There is a power ramp. It's not Destiny or Call of Duty. You're not super powerful right off the top, but it's very approachable because they're really good at slowly getting you into everything. But yeah, no, it's incredible. It is absolutely, and it's annoying. There's too many things. I've been saying it for months. There's too much shit coming out. Like, if you look off of Xbox, you got Spider-Man, you got Super Mario, but like just the multi-plat stuff. I mean, we got Forza coming out. That's going up for 119 gig friggin' preload. I went through everything that Game Pass has. There's Alan Wake 2. There's the Lords of the Fallen that I'm also interested in and covering. There's Assassin's Creed Mirage. There's Avatar's friggin' Pandora game, which I couldn't give two shits about, except for it's by the Division team, and I love the Division team. And there's like probably 30 other things I could list. This year is stupid.
It's so ridiculous that we need clones. But listen, folks, thank you so much for being here. We had a lot of folks here today, almost 600 people. I think we might even have gone over 600.
Yeah, it was like over 650.
Yeah, so thank you so much for being here. If you're new, I saw a lot of new names. Please consider subscribing. We are on the hunt for 14K, and we are trucking along pretty well. We're above average on subs, which is saying that more people are finding the channel, which is very nice, considering this is a kind of mom and pop operation. Jesse Norris, come on, we got to sell your brand. We want to sell your brand personally on Twitter if people want to reach out to you and potentially strike up a conversation. But we got to talk about Xbox Era. You work with John, you work with Nick, you work with a bunch of amazing
Nick doesn't
people.
really work.
Well, yeah, but I want to give him credit live on the air. Nick, if you're listening, and I love you, we know that you're probably playing soccer cars. It's fine. It's okay. Other games exist. Play other games. That's all I'm going to say.
It's normally Fortnite. Pretty much every time I look.
Soccer cars.
Usually he's in Rocket League. That's what I always say.
Rocket League, yeah. Jesse, sell the brand of Xbox Era. Where can people come by, check out your review of Phantom Liberty, and more importantly, where can people subscribe to the channel to keep that number growing? And what else you got going on?
Yeah, so it's pretty much this is my full-time thing, even without it being at work. I just love doing it so much and trying to build it up. We're nearing 22,000 subs with our God damn it, we will not give in to clickbait approach, and it's going all right. If you like what we do, you know who we are. Patreon.com/Xbox Era is by far the best way to support us. But also there's YouTube.com/Xbox Era, and you can find all of it just at XboxEra.com. We've got day1.xboxera.com for everyone here who loves Game Pass. It's our site for, breaking down everything. You can go by the filters. You can see everything that's on Game Pass. It's been on Game Pass. You can see our reviews if we've had them, our forum links. We got a big-ass forum. We got a Discord server, discord.gg/XboxEra. We're XboxEra everywhere. I mean, we're almost 1,000 people on Discord now.
Wow.
The forum's
dude,
like 1 million
amazing.
page views a month. Yeah, we're growing quick. We just need to. We don't have any money or big companies behind us. So if it looks like we do, it's because we're really good at faking it.
Well, no, you guys are dedicated, man. You guys do. I mean, like I said, you're closing in on 22K. That's a really big deal. And
I had never edited a video before I started writing reviews a couple years ago.
Yeah, I
made like 600.
Oh wow, good for you for having that patience. I can't. 10 minutes, folks. You didn't know it's an hour for each minute of video, and if you're not really good, like a Colt Eastwood or a Jesse Norris, or like a Randall Thor, they can do these videos. And for me, it would take me to about 12 hours. That's why I just do the podcast, because
from writing to uploading a review is normally like the total amount of time is like 3 hours.
Wow, good for you, man. Well, listen, we love what you're doing over there. Shout out to Riskets for the biscuit, who says, "I am subscribed, brother. We love you." And
as am I. I'm a proud Patreon subscriber of Xbox Era. Great website.
And I can't wait to get the book. I was one.
Yes,
John has literally been packing it all day today. And tomorrow he's at the warehouse packing them to save $2,000.
Yeah, well,
because if you saw his post on Kickstarter, the shipping costs tripled from when we did the Kickstarter. So we're losing money on it now.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I was one of the first backers on that. I was one of the top tier backers.
Soon.
I'm so excited for that book.
Me too.
I'm so excited to see where you guys go. 25K, here you come. Jesse, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Hang out with us. Yes, thank you.
It's the first time I've ever gotten to talk to Hargeet. Hello, Hargeet.
That's awesome,
right? Yeah,
Hargeet's
great. Yeah,
a legend. I love it. 3 hours of sleep in 3 days for Starfield.
How did you get so much sleep?
I know, right?
That's a lot of sleep.
How dare you, Hargeet? Kay Asante, you got a big show coming up on Saturday. I don't think you're gonna have anything to talk about because it's been so dead. But you're gonna try. You're gonna try sell the brand of the Gaming Circle podcast, one of many amazing shows. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with you and your brother from another who you fight with like cats and dogs. And my wife and I laughing when you guys fight with each other.
This week, I think we won't be fighting. We'll put on our pimp suits, we'll put on the hats, and we're gonna take victory laps because we called it. Like most of these leaks, we have been yelling from the rooftops about for months and months that, hey, we think this is what's happening, and we have been proven right. So we're gonna be very, very, very ridiculous on Saturday. Come check us out. No, first and foremost, thanks to Jesse for being here, of course. The man Hargeet always pulling up and having great takes, and of course, Mr. BoomStick XL. It has been so much fun. I always enjoy like hanging out with you guys on Wednesdays. My Wednesdays are tough work-wise, and then I have to shake it all off and come here and podcast with you guys. This weekend should be fun, man. I expect we're gonna do some very interesting things. We're gonna talk about a lot of fun stuff. There's just so much to talk about, so much to go into. If you don't have like 5 days of shows, I'm trying not to make it a 3 hour, 4 hour podcast. So no, thank you guys so much for checking us out. We are actually, 200 subscribers away from 2,000 subscribers on our channel. We're so close. 200.
Yeah, we got to get you there.
So we're on our way. We're getting there. But no, it's great. Thank you guys so much for all the support. We've been doing some very interesting things on the show and having interesting guests on. I'm hoping that before the end of the year, we'll have a couple more interesting guests that will show up and have us more stuff to talk about. So thank you guys as usual, and we'll see you guys here next week. I hope.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, last but not least, Hargi Chani. Not only does he represent himself in the best way possible, and he's one of the diehard gamers that you could possibly ever want to follow. Sorry, he's not on social media, but you can reach out to him on Xbox and on Discord. But of course, he is front facing when it comes to being a part of an amazing casting crew. They're a bit wacky. Of course, I'm talking about Game On Daily with Gaz and Asa and the team. Talk about it, brother. Sell the brand of Game On Daily, what we can expect in the coming days, and more importantly, where else people could find you that is not social media.
So Discord HChani and Xbox HChani. And thanks for coming on, Jesse. I think this is the first time that we've been on.
Of course. Yeah.
So and I assume, Asante, you're going to talk about the rumor of the 70% increase in performance on the 5090. I assume you got that little nugget, right? You were talking about that with John Wolf, I assume.
You understand the conversations we're going to have, sir. You understand. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Mrs. Boom's new PC with her 4060 just arrived today. Yeah, she got a 4060 Alienware. All the bells and whistles. She didn't want a 4090. It was a lot of money. She's not going to play it for like what she would use it for. But she did get a 4060 in there, which is pretty dope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
any 40 series card will get you some good usage. Right, that's amazing.
Any of the new ones are fine for many years.
I actually think it came with
people.
Baldur's Gate 3 as a pack-in. Believe it or not.
Go figure, right?
Yeah.
Is she into bear screwing? Because there's a lot of that in there.
Oh no!
No, she's not.
Keep her away.
Unbearable.
There's a joke there that I'm not going to make. There's a joke right there. I'm just not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. I'm going to move on. I'm sorry.
Anyway, GameOnDaily.com, YouTube.com/GameOnDaily, and of course, check out RDX. That's every Tuesday on Dealer Gaming channel, at 8 p.m. Eastern, and of course, right here, Primetime Gaming. We'll see you guys next week.
Yes, brother. Appreciate everything that you do for the community. Of course, you do a great job on not only hanging out with Asa and Gaz on Game On Daily, but of course, what you do with Dealer and that amazing crew over on RDX.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big thank you for everyone that tuned in. Please hit the like button on your way out. Please consider subscribing. Again, I just want to say a big thank you to all of the channel members and a real big thank you to all the super chats that continue to come in. We are doing a $500 giveaway. 10 $50 gift cards on the Friday of the 29th of September. It is Boom's 6th annual birthday bash, and we also have a couple of big ones coming up after that. This is Boom's birthday bash in November, and a really big one, and this is the most we've ever given away on the channel at any one time. Our holiday event, which is going to happen, we don't know specifically what Breakfast with Boom, but we are giving away $1,500 in 2 hours. It's our biggest giveaway ever, and we can't do that without the help. We take the super chats that you give, and after Google takes that 30%, we kind of tuck it away and we save it for these big giveaways, and that's why we appreciate all of the generosity that you continue to show. Of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends.